as millions of new fans discovered Formula One for the first time in 2021. They were treated to the most competitive title race in the last decade. But when those fans saw the massively controversial ending of the title-deciding final race of the season in Abu Dhabi, fury ensued. It was a massive embarrassment for Formula One, and the decision made by Michael Masi at the end of the race cost him his job. Now, though, there's a strong possibility of him returning to the sport. In today's video, I'll talk about what the FIA have said about Masi's shock return to Formula One. In an almost unbelievable development that could send shockwaves through Formula One, Michael Masi, the former F1 race director, whose decision-making in the 2021 season finale sparked intense controversy, is now rumoured to be on the brink of a sensational return to the sport. Masi, a 45-year-old Australian, found himself in the eye of a storm following the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in 2021. Before talking about his return, it's important that I frame his departure. The 2021 season had seen an increasingly tense battle between the all-conquering Lewis Hamilton in a Mercedes car and Max Verstappen driving for Red Bull. After 7 seasons of Mercedes domination at the hands of Lewis Hamilton and co., the lack of a decent title fight for most of that time, 2016 being the big exception, the sport was desperate for a championship war that would go down to the wire. The season was set against the backdrop of growing popularity in the sport thanks to the boom in viewership brought along by Drive to Survive. The hit Netflix series had brought Formula One to the attention of new fans worldwide, and with Lewis as the main character for the first 3 seasons, his personal fan base was swelling. Throughout the season, the tension between the two drivers and teams had been growing. Both had made mistakes throughout the year that had cost them points and kept their opposition in the race for the World Drivers' Championship. There had been a number of on-track collisions between the two as well. In Silverstone, Lewis was desperate to get ahead of Verstappen on lap 1 and in his haste to make a move, sent Max off the track at Copse Corner to crash into the barriers at 160 miles per hour. At Monza, a few races later, Lewis came out from a pit stop just half a car ahead of Max, who, knowing how difficult it can be to overtake around the Italian circuit, and realizing the importance of getting ahead of his adversary when he could, tried a move through the turns 1 and 2 chicane, but lost control of his car on the curb and ended up on top of Hamilton's Mercedes in the gravel trap. The image of the two cars stuck together and retiring from the race would become iconic over the course of the season. Playing out parallel to the on-track action was a battle between the team principals of each squad, Christian Horner for Red Bull and Toto Wolff for Mercedes. For that season, the team principals had a direct line to the race director, and the Formula One broadcasting teams were able to listen in and broadcast their every message to the world. Fans around the globe and the media heard every angry complaint and shouted demands for penalties that the two said to the race director. The culmination of this was an aggressively split Formula One fan base and media scrutiny unlike anything the sport had ever seen. On the one side, you had the Lewis Hamilton fans, or Team LH44. They were behind the most successful driver in the sport's history, an outspoken advocate for causes around the world who was using his platform to try and help change. The other side was the Max Verstappen fans, many fed up with the Mercedes dominance after 7 years of watching silver cars win, without any real issue, and being applauded by the British media while doing so. As the season progressed, this intense rivalry grew in pressure, and with just 1 race left of the season and with both drivers on equal points, Formula One was set up for a final race unlike anything the sport had ever seen. There had been title battles run that close, but with the number of eyes on the sport, the social media attention the sport was getting, and the access to everything that was said to the race director, the hype was at a new level for Formula One. That final race at the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi was just as explosive as it was billed to be. With an estimated 108.7 million people watching, the eyes of the world were really on Formula One. While the Mercedes of Hamilton had taken the last 3 race wins, Verstappen managed to outqualify him on Saturday, but alongside Lewis on the front row of the grid. Hamilton stole a march on Verstappen from the off, searing past a slow Verstappen to take the lead into turn 1. Horner put his arms up in the air in befuddlement in the Red Bull garage, but his man is right back on Hamilton's tail and in his slipstream heading down the first long straight. Turn 6. Verstappen, as so often was the case in 2021, lunges instinctively down the inside of Hamilton's Mercedes, slow to turn into the corner and leaving the biggest of gaps. They touch, Verstappen stays within the white lines. Hamilton cuts the corner and rejoins the racetrack still in the lead with a larger lead to the Dutchman. After that, Red Bull just didn't have the pace to keep up with Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes. With 10 laps to go, Christian Horner, who was speaking to Sky Sports coverage that day, said that Max would need a miracle to find his way back into the race, and a miracle he received. Nicholas Latifi lost control of his Williams car, hitting the wall hard at turn 14, requiring the safety car to come out. With just 5 laps left, Max pits for fresh soft tyres while Lewis holds track position on old hard tyres behind the safety car. The risk is that if Lewis pits, Verstappen just stays out, takes the lead of the race, and then if the race doesn't restart, Max wins the race and championship. Slowly but surely, the laps tick down. Lap cars aren't allowed to overtake is the original message from Michael Masi to the cars. Christian Horner is heard on the radio to Michael Masi saying that he can let lap cars go through and give the season one more racing lap. But with 2 laps to go, the expectation is that there is 1 racing lap left, with lap cars in between Hamilton and Verstappen. Or all 8 lapped cars are allowed through, and the race finishes behind the safety car. It is only halfway round lap 57 of 58 that the complexion of the entire evening and season flips quicker than everyone involved can understand and stomach. A second message flashes up from race control. Lap cars 4 (Norris), 14, 31, 16, 5 to overtake the safety car. Seconds later, the top left panel flips from incident to Aston Martin's safety car ending. With 1 racing lap left, Max Verstappen, with brand new soft tyres, finds himself behind Lewis Hamilton on a very old set of hard tyres. The Mercedes garage explodes in anger. Masi receives the full fury of a headset smashing Toto Wolff over the radio, and Max passes Lewis for the race win and the Drivers' Championship crown. The decision to let just the drivers between the first and second placed cars pass is not one that's ever been taken in Formula 1 before. At the time, Formula 1 was putting pressure on Michael Masi to make sure that every single race finished under racing conditions, not behind a safety car or with a red flag. The combination of team principals shouting at him over the radio, F1 wanting the season to end with racing, and a title fight that was receiving record viewership forced a mistake from him that would create a chasm between the two fan groups that were already at war, and put him dead center of one of the sport's biggest ever controversies. In the days that followed, Mercedes considered a legal challenge of the results but eventually decided against it. Away from the grid, the fallout was cataclysmic. The media frenzy was on another level, as the morality and legality of the situation was dissected 100 different ways. On social media, Michael Masi and Nicholas Latifi received numerous serious death threats, with both hiring security for their own protection. The newly elected FIA president, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, had a number of death threats as well, with people demanding he overturn the result and remove Michael Masi from the sport for good. The result stayed as it is though, and Max Verstappen ended Mercedes' death grip on the sport in the most dramatic way possible. However, Michael Masi is now public enemy number 1 in the eyes of Team LH44, and the questions over his ability to continue after what has happened are completely merited. His handling of the safety car incident made the final race of the most-watched season in Formula 1 history about the rulebook, not the racing, and brought the competitive integrity of the result into question. Reflecting on the episode, Wolff, still scarred by the events of that day, recently quipped when musing Mercedes' return to Abu Dhabi, "With a proper race director, that should be fine," alluding to the team's ongoing battle with Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship. The fallout from Abu Dhabi led to Masi's removal as race director. Despite Masi's contentious exit, the FIA has refrained from harshly criticizing him, despite acknowledging human error in the 2021 title finale officiating. Ben Sulayem, in a new interview with The Guardian, expressed his reluctance to apologize for actions that predated his tenure. "I always apologize, but I cannot apologize for something which was done before my time," said Ben Sulayem in the wide-ranging interview. The poor guy is a person who has been attacked and abused. Michael Masi went through hell. And if I see there is an opportunity that the FIA needs, and Michael Masi is the right person, I will bring him. This admission from Ben Sulayem has come as a complete shock to fans. The idea that Masi could come back to be involved in Formula 1 was completely beyond comprehension in the weeks and months after his dismissal. But now the FIA president has admitted that he could be asked to return. Despite what happened in Abu Dhabi, Michael Masi does have something that the sport is dearly missing: the tutelage of Charlie Whiting. Whiting race-directed every single Formula One Grand Prix from 1997 till he died aged 66 in 2019, just 3 days before the season-opening Australian Grand Prix. Whiting was hugely respected within the FIA and on the grid. For the last few years of his life, Michael Masi had been training under him to eventually be his replacement. While Michael did make mistakes, Abu Dhabi being the one that received the most attention, for the most part, he did an excellent job. When he left the sport, Charlie Whiting's knowledge and experience also left, leaving a huge hole that the FIA have failed to fill since. While Michael Masi's return as a race director may be almost impossible, a role as an advisor to the race direction team may be achievable with limited backlash from the fans. It is that role that Ben Sulayem is likely alluding to in his interview. In that interview with The Guardian, Ben Sulayem also compared Hamilton losing his grip on what would have been a record-breaking 8th world title to the 1966 World Cup final, when England beat West Germany following a goal which was given, despite replays showing the ball did not cross the line. "I even had people threatening to kill me because I had the power to change it," Ben Sulayem added. "But I said to them, sorry, the World Cup of 1966? England against Germany? Was that correct? Did they change it? No. Did they give it to Germany? 9. Facing vile abuse and death threats, Masi disappeared from the Formula One stage, only to return to the paddock as a guest this season, where he spoke about accusations of ruining Hamilton's race and possibly his legacy. There was, however, no apology forthcoming. "They have their perspective and are entitled to their view," he said. "I respect any view, and it's not for me to comment on what they do or don't think." 2 years on from the 2021 season finale, what are your thoughts on the race now? Would you be on board with Michael Masi returning to the sport? Or do you think that his appearance in any capacity would cause more problems than it would solve? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you want more F1 news and analysis like this, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, drive safe and bye for now.